What is happening, y'all? Cowboy here, and welcome to my 100% walkthrough for Demons Souls PS5. So the goal of this series, as opposed to the Let's Play series, is this is intended to actually serve as a guide. We're going to be going through boss strategies, where to get all the items, all the hidden stuff, hidden doors, and most importantly, getting you on your journey to your Platinum Trophy. Now I say getting you on your journey because the Platinum Trophy for this game will require you to go through roughly 3 times. For one of the trophies in particular, getting all of the spells, you need to play through the game multiple times for that. And on top of that, just spreading out the trophies over multiple playthroughs will make things a lot easier. Despite that, we are going to be doing everything we can to get you as many trophies as possible in a single playthrough. So with all that being said, let's jump on in and start this journey. Now, right at the start, we have a choice between body type, either a female archetype or male archetype. There is a difference in the types of armor we can equip. So there's quite a few sets that are female only and quite a few sets that are male only. I would suggest looking these up on the wiki if you're more curious. In general, a lot of the beefier kind of armored type sets are going to be male only. The female sets have some really cool caster type looking sets. The witch set, for example, looks very aesthetically pleasing if you're running a caster type character. We're going for that beefiness, so we're going to be going for a male character. Now, as for the starting class here, the 2 most common, I think, are Royalty and Temple Knight. Royalty comes with a ring that will regen your MP, so if you're going to be playing as a caster of any sort, it is a very powerful ring to start the game with. Temple Knight has the advantage of already having its Faith at 13, which is going to be great, so we can meet the requirement on the Talisman we're going to be aiming to get to cast things like Second Chance or Cursed Weapon. On top of that, it just has a very nice split of stats, both strength and dexterity already at decent levels, which should meet some of the requirements for early weapons. With that being said, feel free to go with whatever you want. You know, if you want to start with the big club, go for Barbarian. If you want to start with the axe, go for Hunter. We're going to be changing up our weapon pretty early on, so keep that in mind. More than anything, your starter class is going to be about the starting stats that you have. So we're going to be going with Temple Knight here. As for our starting gift, I would suggest the Providential Ring. Simply because all this other stuff is consumables that we can get everywhere, whereas the ring obviously has advantages. I'm also going to be turning off the deluxe items bundle so that I don't have any type of advantage over another player that doesn't have access to that. So we're going to be doing a strength build. We'll go with this. This looks nice and strength friendly, but I am going to get rid of some of those scars. My dude has scars all over. There we go. Let's just go for that scar. That one looks good. Then maybe change his nose up a little bit. Give him a smaller nose. There we go. No, maybe his ears too. His ears are a little big on the ears. There we go. All right, he's looking good. And since we're going to be going for a big old smash build, give him the appropriate name. Oonga Boonga. All right, Oonga Boonga is made.
King Allant.
So we're going to be skipping almost all the cutscenes in the game. I'm here to bring you a guide to get through it. If you want to watch the cutscenes, I suggest do it on your own playthrough, but in the effort of saving time, it makes more sense to just cut them out. Now, a couple things right off the bat. You'll notice I have a very, very slow roll. Rolls are based around your equipment burden in Demons Souls. There are 2 thresholds, and the threshold is at 50%. So anything above 50%, between 50.1 all the way up to 100, we have what's known as a fat roll. If we were to take off a couple pieces of gear, this is a light or normal roll. Now, in later Souls games, they obviously they made 3 different tiers, but in the early games, at least, that was all you had access to. There is no, light, medium, heavy. So keep that in mind. In general, I would suggest taking the armor off because it's more worthwhile to just dodge an attack and not get hit whatsoever than it is to take an attack and get hit in the face. Especially because as the game goes on, certain bosses hit really hard and you don't want to be tanking those hits. But the early tutorial, there's really not all that much here. Just a couple grass items we're going to grab. We get a couple souls. On subsequent journeys, feel free to skip it. But on your first one, the main reason we're going through this is we want, well, you have to, for starters. But there is some early items we can get if we beat the initial starter boss here. Another thing I want to point out is we can now pause the game. Now, pausing is something we couldn't previously do in Souls games, and technically it's not a pause, but it is photo mode. So just to touch on that briefly here, what I would suggest doing over in settings here is go to controller and controls and set half of your touchpad up for photo mode. The tool belt brings up everything, so we can have the items here, we can do messages, gestures, and photo mode, but just having photo mode on a button is very convenient. That way, you know, if you're trying to experience this game and you got kids and you got to pause the game, now you can pause it. Another thing to point out, if you did take the Temple Knight class, weapons like the halberd, there is a sweet spot on the weapon. So if we hit somebody with the very end of the halberd, we'll get a slightly higher damage hit off because it's considered a sweet spot attack. Not every weapon has a sweet spot, but basically the gist is you want to try and hit with the part of your weapon that looks like it would do the most damage. And in this case, that's obviously the bladed end of the halberd. So after you grab that grass, hop through here. Got a couple more baddies we got to take out. See, for example, how I did 74 there on the running attack. That was a non-sweet spot hit. And there should be another one right here that I can actually show a sweet spot on. Oh, missed it again. Oh well. Anyway, point is it takes some practice, but your spacing is going to be important here. As for the Blue Knights, I'll just feed them down like that. You'll notice I'm two-handing my weapon. You're going to get more damage in two-handing your weapon. As you can see, my attack power is 105. If I make it one-handed and I go over, it's 102. So it's not a massive difference, but two-handing your weapon is usually going to get you a little more damage. On top of that, when you two-hand a weapon, your strength goes up by 1.5. So what I mean by this is if a weapon requires 30 strength for you to use, you can two-hand that weapon with only 20 strength. Because you take your strength and you multiply it by 1.5, and then you get your strength when two-handing. Because, you know, that makes sense. It's like you're holding something with both hands. Pick up this. And we're going to go this way and head on up. 2 more baddies to kill. 1 past the fog gate. And then the tutorial boss. Guy's too busy playing with his crossbow. Doesn't even see us coming up on him. Feeling extra spicy, go for a bit of parry off. And those look good. Alright, so up next we have our first boss, and this is the Vanguard. Vanguard is a pretty easy fight, but he can pretty much instant kill you. If you mess up here, he's going to kill you. What I would recommend is you pretty much just want to stay on his butt. Just stay right behind him, keep attacking the butt, delay your rolls a little bit because he has kind of a slow swing. And then you just get behind him, and you keep attacking. If he jumps up in the air, just scoot back. You don't need to necessarily roll. If you're in the middle of an attack, you might want to roll, but otherwise, you can just walk back how you see me doing. Stay right behind that butt. Then you gotta obviously do your celebratory jiggle. Dark Souls tradition. Jiggle that weapon. So as for the soul, after killing him, we get the Gray Demon Soul. We can actually use that to make the axe that he has. It's called the Dozer Axe. Very strong weapon for early in the game, but the weight on it makes it almost prohibitive. I want to say it weighs 20 weight units. So just for perspective, we're at half of our weight with 20.2 to give you an idea of just how heavy that axe is. So if you die against the Vanguard, you won't get to come here. There is a couple loot here. There's nothing that's like critical, but we'll have 4 full moongrass, 3 heartstone shards, 3 sharp stars, and then 3 souls that we can pick up. So, I mean, it is stuff that's just nice to get. You know, it'll help you on your journey a little bit more, in particular the early upgrade mats, just allowing us to get a quick +1 on our beginning weapon for the very first level. And after you grab everything, just approach this big boy, and he gonna punch you in the face. So anyway, I'm gonna skip that, as I mentioned, skipping the cutscenes. And now we end up in the Nexus. Now, the first thing you'll probably notice is that our health is half of what it used to be. Right now, we are in what's known as soul form. You need to be in soul form when you're doing co-op or when you're trying to invade another player. But soul form is important, and the majority of our game is going to be played in soul form, and that's because soul form will have no impact on world tendency. Now, I've had a lot of people already asking me about this, but this is a system unique to Demons Souls. We have world tendency and we have character tendency. The basic idea is it can go up 3 and it'll become pure white, or it can go down 3 and it can become pure black. Each of the worlds has an individual tendency that will be based on actions you take in that world, and then there's also a character tendency based on things you do with your character, a lot of this involving online play. So the basic gist behind world tendency is that as you beat a boss, your world tendency is going to go up. If you die while in body form, your world tendency is going to go down. There are unique in-game events that will happen at both pure white tendency and pure black tendency. In a similar fashion, this also applies to your character. In fact, actually 2 of the rings that you're going to need for the Platinum Trophy, one of them you get from being pure white tendency, and one of them you get from being pure black tendency. So keep that in mind. Now, what we're going to do to get this tendency for the playthrough is every time we beat a boss, our world tendency is going to go up. So by beating all 3 bosses without dying in human form, we'll have pure white world tendency in all 5 of the realms. By doing that, we're able to do all of the pure white events, and then we're able to bring our tendency down to pure black and do those events. In the pure black world tendency area, there's actually some red phantom versions or black phantom versions of certain NPCs. By fighting them and killing them, we can improve our character tendency and get our character tendency up to pure white so that we can get the ring associated with that. And then you could get it down to pure black by doing PvP, invading and killing other players. Some other ways, if you are hosting and an invader comes near your world and you kill him, this goes up. If you are summoned and you kill an invader, this goes up. If you're invading, it goes down. Honestly, a lot of it seems pretty complicated. What I would really suggest doing is we're going to get all the white and black events with world. Since the character tendency is largely influenced very easily by co-op, it's one of those things that's just easier to knock out in multiple playthroughs. Like have one where you focus on getting up to pure white, and then another where you get down to pure black. Another thing to keep in mind is at pure white tendency, you actually do more damage while in phantom form, which is what we're in right now. And at pure black, if I remember correctly, you do more damage when you're invading as a black phantom. So getting to pure black character tendency pays off if you are invading a lot of people, and invading and killing hosts moves your character towards pure black tendency. So it's very easy to get that. In general, it's much easier to get your tendencies down to black than it is to white, since there's more, basically anytime, like if we go into human form and die, we're moving the world towards black. If we invade someone when we kill them, we're moving our character towards black. So getting black is very easy, which is why we want to get white tendency first. So if you killed Vanguard, go over here, upgrade your starting weapon. In our case, it's the halberd. This isn't absolutely necessary, but it will make the very first bit of the gates a lot easier, just because we'll be able to one-shot these dregs. So I do think that's worth doing. Really cool cutscene that we're unfortunately going to skip. I don't want to wear my armor. If I was to wear my armor, I'd have to just wear the armor. So I could be a pantsless warrior, or I could have no chest armor. We're going with the chest armor. So the reason we upgraded the halberd, as you can see, 92 damage now. Pretty much just enough damage that we're able to kill these guys in one hit. Whereas if you didn't upgrade it, it would take another little bit to take them out. So right at the very start here, we have some stuff in the back. We'll go grab that real fast. Running, I am going to adjust my notes here. If you're curious how these walkthroughs are made, we actually are in the process of streaming all the prep we do. All the note-taking, all the fight testing, figuring out strategy, stuff like that. Pretty interesting process. So on the note of world tendency again, here's a perfect example. This gate, you know that you can't interact with it whatsoever. If you get the world to either pure white or pure black, that gate will just open up. So that is an example of a tendency event. And then after getting the gate open, obviously there's a bunch of loot over there. There's a crystal lizard. There's other stuff that I won't go into right now, but a bunch of stuff that we can do by getting that tendency up. Keep killing these baddies. Swing around here and run right up under this guy. You're right down here, he has a lot of trouble shooting you. So we can stay here and wait for the dreg to come. And now with them dead, we'll go up and we'll kill this guy. Also, there's no plunging attack in Demon Souls. You'll just land and attack, so keep that in mind. I know that looks pretty down there, but don't go down there. Not gonna have a good time. Go in here and hit to the right. And then go over here and attack again. And then over here. That's loot right here. It's honestly like sad how much I'm like a robot going through this. So kill them and go through the fog. Alright, so down here we have a soul item and the mail breaker. I don't really use the mail breaker for anything. You can use it as like a parrying offhand, but shield can also be used to parry. Alright, this next part, there's a guy that's going to try and ambush us. So just run right over to here. So that guy's above us throwing the firebombs, which is why we wanted to get underneath this platform. That way we can take out these hollows without worrying about bombs being chucked down on top of us. We're going to get that item in a little bit. Don't worry about it for now. Poke him. Alright, now right here, this is going to be a trap, so go about a little ways up, and once the ball rolls, just walk back down. And then you can go over here to grab this, and then you can go here to grab the Bastard Sword. While I'm not a fan of the Mail Breaker, the Bastard Sword is actually a pretty nice choice. I wouldn't invest too much into it, though, because a little bit later we can get access to the Claymore, which is basically the same moveset as the Bastard Sword, but it is much larger. Like, the reach on it is it's significant. We'll just say that. Ooh. Mr. Hyper Armor Knight. Anytime you're fighting these guys, use oh god. One strategy you can do is just walk behind him and backstab, and that usually works pretty well, as you can see. Most of his health is gone now. But those knights are good to farm. They're worth early on. Those knights are worth, they always drop half moongrass, which on the note of grass, let's talk briefly, because we picked up some full moongrass already. What I would suggest doing, and this will save you a lot of time in the end game, is with your full moongrass or your dark grass or any of that stuff, go ahead and send it to storage when you get it. Because your weight, if we look over here, not only do we have equipment burden in Demon Souls, we have item burden. Now they have changed it so that if we pick up something that we are unable to carry, we can just send it directly back to the stash, which is a nice quality of life change. But at the same time, you know, if you pick up something and you send it to the stash and it was something that you want to put on, well, then you're kind of out of luck. So it's good to be able to, you want to keep that a little bit lower. Plus, you know, you want to be able to, if you pick up, oh my god, thought that fire was done. Ooh, that would have been very embarrassing, especially because we're coming up on a shortcut. You know, you want to be able to use your healing stuff as you pick it up. So any of your heavier healing stuff, I would suggest getting rid of that stuff. Let me... And... Oh, nope. What am I doing here? Fine resin. All right, put on your firebombs. We're going to be using those in just a little bit here. There you go. Go out here and break these chains. Just attack them. Right, and what you want to do is aim at that group and throw a firebomb. And then if you can, aim at him and throw a firebomb. Oh, I didn't get all of them. That's okay. What they're trying to do is hit those barrels and blow them up to kill all of them, but it didn't quite work. That's alright, though. So hit this, pop it on open. And the cling ring. Now, it may seem like, you know, how are we supposed to play this game? We only have half of our health, and that's what the cling ring is for. Now, it's going to boost us up a little bit. It's not going to be a ton, but as you can see, we're closer to having like 75% of our health now. So, go ahead and heal on up. Where are we at on time? 20 minutes? Yeah, let's keep pushing this. So this next part, we're going to make our way back up. We now have this shortcut unlocked, so if we die, it's not that bad. And there is a chance we're going to die because I'm going to try and do something that I probably shouldn't do. We're going to try and kill the Red Knight right now, doing backstab cheese. Back up top, and you'll remember that when we got up top, we immediately turned, which actually there's one item I didn't grab, so we'll grab that on the way real fast. Before the fog, go down this way. Pick up this crossbow. And then right in here is one of the guys that was throwing bombs at you earlier. Back up top. Okay, nope, went the wrong way. Got him. We got two more soldiers up ahead. And some half moon grass over there. Now, as opposed to the Blue Knights up ahead, we have what's known as a Redeye Knight. These guys are significantly harder. It is not hard for this guy to kill you. So just something to keep in mind. If this guy gets the chance, he will kill you. Come over here. Grab the unknown hero soul. And then what I'd suggest doing is we're actually going to bring this guy back. We're going to bring him back nice and far here. Just so that if we do die in this battle, we don't need to run past everything. We're going to try and lure him back to where he's a lot closer to the shortcut. And if we can get him all the way over there, one thing we might be able to do is just kick him off the ledge, which is much safer than trying to kill him traditionally. I don't know if he'll come that far. No, he might. He's still coming. Come on, buddy. And no, you're not. Oh, look at him. His pathing is getting a little bit better. So when I'm talking about pushing, it's forward and R1 at the same time. No, you're stuck. Come on, over this way. Over this way. There we go. Come on. Come on, we're almost home. Just think of him like a lost puppy. Puppy that unfortunately is going to have an accident. Like the jiggle made him angry. Oh boy. Did not take friendly to that. Oh. Did he just kill himself for us? I think he did. Oh, yes, he did. So I was going to try and push him off. I didn't think he would try to attack and just run straight off, but that is funny. That was not planned, but I do like that strategy more. That is just making him run on off. All right, so we got the full moon grass. You can actually get you can get a nice shield and a spear off that guy as well. I wouldn't consider them necessary. We're gonna actually get both of those items that we can farm off of him a little bit later, just progressing through the level. But man, that was a pretty entertaining suicide. The alternate strategy is to just circle around him and try and backstab, but if he hits you twice, you're dead this early. So anyway, we are going to wrap things up right here for now. Seems like a pretty good spot. In the next episode, we're going to continue through and finish up all of 1-1, also known as the Gates of Boletaria. But for now, we're going to wrap things up. Going to aim to keep these between 20 and 30 minutes, kind of just like a nice consumable length. So either way, thanks for tuning on in. If you have any particular questions about getting started in the game or something that I did here or kind of covered already that you were not sure about, make sure to drop that question down below and I will do my best to answer it. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and as always, and I'll see you guys with episode 2.